and welcome to Choreographer Talk. My name is Jane D'Angelo. I'm the executive director of OhioDance and the producer of the OhioDance Festival. Today, our guest choreographer is Charlotte Stehmeyer. I want to ask you a few questions. And the first one I want to ask is, improvisation is central to your creative process. How does improvisation help you discover the movement language for a new work?
Yeah, I think improvisation is the engine to discovering set movement or set choreography. Choreography can't exist without improvisation, which I think is something that the non-dance sphere or an audience might not understand from just watching a showcase or a show itself. Um, at its most basic form, choreography is improvisation. One can think of like at its most boiled down point, you pick a song and it's you in the studio and you groove until you find something that works, and that's an improvisation practice. And I think in the industry and in the fine arts sphere, um, that we don't label it as such. So my passion is diving into improvisation as a technique itself, and not just as a tool, but truly the foundational block of a creative practice, a technical practice, and a creative process. And when I do it in my own making, it looks like collaboration, really just collaborating with the group that I'm with through journaling, prompt giving, playing. I like to assign homework where you go out and observe and then bring it back into the space to help build, whether it's like the narrative I'm looking for, or a quality or a dynamic moment in the greater work. I just really rely on um, bridging the gap between every mind in the room, as well as my own personal dream and desire for the larger work. So yeah, it's really interesting to use something so abstract of like interpretive dance or interpret what I'm saying into movement, and then coming up with a concrete narrative that makes sense for what I want to show an audience, or my perspective on what I want to say and what the dancers want to say together.
You've described performance as a space for gathering and
Mhm.
collective imagination. How do you translate that idea into the choreography audiences see on stage?
Yeah, I think sometimes I like to view performance kind of like a book, because you go to a bookstore and everyone's buying the same book, but then they're leaving and reading it separately and coming up with their own images of the characters or the meeting places or whatever is happening narratively. Um, and that happens while watching a live performance, especially contemporary or modern dance, where there is no language attached to it. Everyone is dreaming up or feeling something so deeply specific to them, or conjuring up a memory or something maybe that's like socially um, true for the time we're living in. Like it just happens that way, that we all experience something different, even if we're all in the same room. And as a choreographer, that's a really important thing to not forget. I think abstraction is, again, very common in the fine arts dance world, and I'm really interested in meeting people where they're at. Um, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm something that I talk a lot with other dancers or practice in my own creative free time. And I want my pieces to feel where during intermission everyone's coming together and be like, what do you think that was about, or what does this symbolize to you, or like this made me think of this. And that is that to me is the bio of the piece. Like I can offer what I can offer, but I'd never want to force the key in the keyhole of this is what I'm trying to say. Like, don't you get it? Like, you should know this. Whereas like I want the abstraction and the real life experience to come to meet people in the middle to for them to discover their personal meaning, which is really like not a new concept. It's very much what happens. I just think we don't put a lot of language to the actual act of being an audience member. They're just kind of expected to like sit there and be quiet and clap when they're supposed to. But I'm interested on how to engage with an audience more and invite them into the world that you know the dancers have been in for an X amount of time, weeks, months, whatever it may be. Um, and it's it's fun to talk about in the making process because I think all artists know that you can't control how it's going to be perceived, but it's still something again another branch to work with while you're making.